Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Yes and Land, where we say yes to the reality of what people are experiencing and trials are going through, and we say and to the possibility of what the future holds, of hope, of joy, and of possibility. Today, we're very excited to have as our guest Joey Carlson, who has a storied career, we'll call it, in business, in a lot of different ventures. And RCG Law Group was lucky enough to snag him, have him come on because of some of his background in understanding business, but also in having been divorced himself, helping a divorce law firm. So that's kind of his background and experience. So we're super glad to have you here today, Joey. We obviously know each other well, but we'll hopefully dive into some fun topics today. So as we start kind of a bio or intro for you, why don't you talk a little bit about just some of that past experience that you had, some of the different businesses that you had done starting from your days in Price and kind of moving forward.
Yeah, man, it's fun to talk about where I kind of got my start from. Early days, first business, my family, my dad, who was very entrepreneurial as a kid, that's how I kind of grew up seeing things get done, was just, oh, that's an idea, let's try it, see what happens. I saw him fail at stuff. I saw him be really successful at stuff. Wasn't scared of the failure and always learned from stuff. The first business that I got involved in with my dad and my brother was snow cones. If you've seen those fiberglass snow cone booths, you see them everywhere now. Late 90s, early 2000s, that was like the thing. That was pretty cool. Yeah, they were huge. We were probably one of the first groups to buy. We had like 10. We had some that were mobile. You put little wheels on them and pull them as a trailer. You know, other ones that were more like beefy.
Fixed almost?
Yeah. So the fixed ones, we got deals with Walmarts, got some in Boise, and then so there were a few Walmarts that let us come put there, and you'd pay a commission to Walmart on your sales. So that's where I learned like how to manage employees. You had to count cups. You learned that employees steal from you, like not necessarily intentionally, like not like putting money in their pocket, but like, you know, give 10 snow cones to their friends. Well, then at the end of the day, Walmart comes and audits me. Yeah. And now I've just lost some money. So I started to learn early on how to do that. I ran the Boise. There was about 5 of them up there. My brother was down here in the Salt Lake area doing them, and a lot of his was events. And the events we found were a lot more lucrative. So you could go to a soccer tournament, not pay commission, you know, just pay an entrance fee, and have lines of kids all day.
Did you charge a premium for the events, or was it always the same price?
The stand. It's a good question. The standalones were cheaper, right? $2, $3, $5, right? The events were like $7, $9, $12.
So not only did you get to keep it all without paying a cut, you also were charging more.
Yeah, people would pay. Because they do. And we didn't learn that at first. At first, it was just across the board. This is what we do. Then we started realizing we could charge more, and there was a lot more work in the events too. Like you had to have a team of people there. You had to go earlier in the morning, set up. We were renting out a space that was back of a car wash. It was like a warehouse. So we'd rent a space. So you'd be up at 5 in the morning out there getting these big jugs of sugar. Literally, you would fill them to the top with sugar and then drizzle water in, and then you had a little machine that shook them, like a paint shaker. And it was like those snow cones, I can't even eat them anymore. Like there's like a little bit of water, and it's mostly sugar. Like you'd literally fill the whole thing with sugar. So you're lugging these things around. Events were tough. Like you had to like really do it. Whereas the other ones, we could kind of manage throughout the day, and you knew the work, you knew the flow, you knew how many people you were going to have. The events could be a total disaster. You've done all that work. Yeah, they usually weren't. And then we started finding that the standalones were just not worth it. Like it was too much work, too much effort. And so we sold a bunch, kept some of the event ones. And we kept the event ones for a while. We had that warehouse, and this is probably the best. This is kind of how my career went. So how do you go from one thing to another and get involved? The short version would be we had a little warehouse in the back of where we did the snow cones, where we kept everything. And in the front of that was a small retail space that we did not own. We were just renting the back end. Essentially, someone came in and was like, hey, we want to put a cell phone store here. Do you guys know who owned this? And my brother, in his cleverness, was like, yeah, I do. Like, it's us. And so we became an agent, a cell phone agent, back when Nokia was selling the phone that played Snake. Like, so that was it. just so happened right when we got into it was when they transitioned to, we started getting like the razor, like the real consumer.
Oh, yeah.
It was there was so much luck to it, right? We were there, we were willing to say, yes, we'll do it. And then just go and act like experts and figure it out. We were young. I was 22. My brother was a little bit older and savvier and really smart. And like I said, we grew up with my dad and we saw a lot of this stuff. Turned into cell phone stores. Got into the rural markets, decided to lock in with Verizon, became a Verizon agent, opened about 25 stores over the next 5 years with my brother. I ran the operations. I would hire people, fire people, had no idea what I was doing as a kid. I just knew that I was going to put a white shirt on and a tie so people didn't treat me like I was 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm hiring people. And I was hiring young people, but you're also hiring some old people.
Sure.
And I was like, I started to learn like how to get a little bit of authority, right? Like, how can I sell me to these people that I have to listen to me and think that I'm an expert? Now, they assume that I am because I am the owner. I'm one of the owners. So there's some of that helped. But I was young. So it was like I was shirt and tie every day, just like, going back to the days of being like a, Mormon missionary, like saying, let's go do it.
Yeah.
Really fun. The rural markets were tough. I basically picked up and moved to Cedar City once because that was where one of our first locations was. And then when we had the opportunity to expand into the rural markets, I basically picked a place on the map that I'd never really been before and moved there because it was central. I could travel. It was Richfield. And that became my home base. And I would get up in the morning and drive to Moab one day or drive to Mesquite, Nevada one day or drive to Tooele one day. And that's kind of what I did. I would just go manage the stores. And a lot of it was just me gathering what I'd seen my dad do, which is jump in the car and drive places and show up at places, and kind of like people didn't know where I'd be necessarily, and so kind of everybody was on their best behavior because boss could show up.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of those lessons of just kind of jumping in the car and showing up. Did that for a number of years. That business is tough. We were pretty successful for what we were, but we were small. 25 stores sounds like a lot, but our competition had 100, had 150 stores, and Verizon, essentially they wanted to reward the big guys. And so they put us in a position where we kind of had to sell. So I found myself at 28 as a kid that just sold, and I thought I was pretty special, and I thought I was pretty neat, and I had a pretty big ego. I thought I was pretty cool, And I was living in this little town, and I had this business, and people thought I was cool there. And then all of a sudden that business was gone, and I learned probably one of the more important lessons in my life, which is, one, you're replaceable. Because I thought, without me, those stores won't make it, and they were fine. They found somebody to do my job, and that was okay. And then also, as soon as you don't have something really immediate to offer people, you kind of learn pretty quick, what your value is. What do you bring to the table? If you own a business and that's what you bring to the table, that's what you bring to the table. What skills do you have? What do you do? And I really found myself going, what do I do next? I had made a little bit of money. I was young. Confidence wasn't a problem. But then you start go, what do I do? I started to realize that how do you go get a job? I'd never really had, I'd done my own stuff. I was like, what if I want to go get a job? You got to put a resume together. What do I put on my resume? Oh, that's a silly looking resume. Owner. Okay, well, what happened? I just started to go through these things, and I thought, how do I get back to credibility of what I had when I was a business owner? And let's go to law school. Let's go be a lawyer. We just sold the business. I was dealing with lawyers. They were lawyers. They were the smartest guys in the room.
Sure.
And I'd wanted to go to law school when I was younger, but the businesses kind of came. And so that's when at 28, I decided to jump in and go to law school. Dove right in. I was not an excellent student, but I would work hard. It was one thing I knew. If I could get up at 5 a.m. and drive to Moab and spend the whole day and get home at midnight, I could outwork somebody. I could get in and do the work. And that's how I figured I'd do law school. So kind of what I did. And I was, I did fine. But I was there from 6 a.m. till 11. I had to work twice as hard as kids to make sure that I was, getting the grades that I needed to get. And I really had a motivation to get out. And in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have done that. Probably would have taken my time a little bit, done maybe what you did. I know that you really leaned into moot court and trial prep. And I didn't really do that because I thought, I'm really going to go to business. I'm going to go into business. When I got out of law school, the company my dad had mostly growing up was a staffing company. He staffed coal mines, which is a very niche market. And one of the things I learned is niche is good. If you get really good at niche.
If you're in it, if you've got it.
If you've got it, it's real good. And so I've always liked niche. I think niche is a good space to be. If you can become an expert in niche, it's like I said, when I sold my business, I was was nobody all of a sudden. My niche was like selling cell phones. Like, that's not very good.
Yeah, because if you're an expert in a niche, it's really hard for competition to break in that don't have any experience doing it.
That's right. So I liked niche. And so while I was finishing law school and getting ready to do take the bar, I started a little staffing company. You know, my dad helped me out. That was one of the advantages of growing up in entrepreneurial. And started a little staffing company, and we were doing low-end staffing. We're talking entry-level jobs nobody wants to do. One of the companies that hired us was a mink farm in Utah. We're talking about you grab a little critter, you stick a knife here, and go all the way down to the end, and it's smelly and gross and terrible. It's just as bad as it sounds. Well, of course they couldn't find people to do that job, so they hire a staffing company to do that. That becomes my job. So now I got to find people to do this terrible job, and that would be one of a number of jobs that you do. So I had to get creative. I had to put problem-solving skills together, and I started going to the prison and teaching resume classes, volunteered through my local congregation, and would go in and I would teach people how to fill out a resume. Oh, give out some business cards for when they got out. We were working with people, and they'd call me, and I'd say, yeah, I've got a job for you. It's not ideal, but it's a great start for you coming out and, steady wages, slaughter and mink. So we'd do that, and those guys would last until about they got out of the parole. And then they were like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's terrible. I don't have to do that. So did that. Started working with refugee communities. These were people that Salt Lake was starting to take in a lot of refugees. The LDS Church had recently made an announcement at one of their general conferences that like people should work with refugees. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I don't.
It was like a big deal in the area, and so I was like, okay, let's go. These are people that want to work. They had two major problems I found out pretty quick. They don't drive, and they don't speak the language. Not very well, at least. And that's tough.
Very hard.
But you can slaughter a mink
Sure.
if I can get you there. So we bought a couple vans.
So you must have done something for transportation to solve
So we
that
did.
problem.
So we said, okay, we're a transportation company. So we pivoted a little bit, right? We started to look and it became, like I said, let's go niche. We'll work with these communities that are underserved that people don't want to do. Yeah, the job's not great, but these are people that we were helping them find something, right? And a lot of these people, especially in the refugee communities, what we found is they really did want to work. They actually didn't care as much about the job. They really did just want to work, but they didn't have transportation. It was hard. Yeah. And one of the things I'd say is think about getting on the bus for an hour and a half every day each way because you got to make 50 stops. Like it's just soul crushing. Yeah. It's just soul crushing.
Sounds horrible.
It was. And a lot of them were really tight families. And if the mom's working, she's just thinking about how am I going to get home and make kids. It was bad. So we found the vans worked well. We had a client out in Tooele, did an egg farm, and we had some success. So one day, as we pivot, an opportunity came, and a company down in central Utah, which is kind of my stomping grounds where I grew up, called and said, hey, we called the refugee center. We want to do some refugee stuff. We need employees. And they gave us your number, said you're out there pretty active. I said, yeah, I am. I'm probably the right guy to talk to. And, started to tell my story about what I can do, which is important, is you kind of have to take the experience you have and craft it into a story that you can tell.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I said, I'd love to come and help you. And I knew they were in trouble because the first meeting I had with them, I had this really dumb idea. But I did think it might work, which was let's go rent apartments in central Utah, bring them down, offer them to move them, solves this transportation problem if we can get a company bus. And we'll rent their apartment, give them 3 months free, give them a fresh start. A lot of these people didn't love the environment they were in up in Salt Lake. Yeah. So we recruited about 100 people, mostly from the Congo, to go down to central Utah to work in a turkey farm. It's another slaughter environment. These are hard jobs. Yeah. And it was not a great experience at first because we didn't realize I was still pretty young, and there's cultural differences. These deep Mormon, old school farmers, and we bring these people from the Congo, and a lot of them hadn't seen snow or a lot of this stuff, and we brought them down there, and we just kind of stuck them down there, and I hadn't learned that there's a lot more to employing people than just giving them a job. Yeah. And that's really where I started to go, you got to get involved in these people's lives. Mm-hmm. So I started to pivot, right? So that's a lot of my career. I mean, it goes on, and we could talk about it more, but a lot of my career, I think, turned into me going, I have an idea, I can solve a problem. I felt confident I could do that. Yeah. and I can sell the idea to the people, the decision makers. I can craft a story that helps them see the vision, and I can jump at opportunities. And from Norbest, I took similar opportunities in the construction world, which was really my roots. I mean, like I said, my dad was in mining. I'm third generation coal miner. So I got back into that industrial world, and that felt really at home, and got to solve some really fun problems. A lot of it had to do with people and hiring people and culture and staffing and bringing people into an environment where they could be successful. I started to see if you build the right culture, people can be successful.
Yeah.
A lot of cultures fail because they don't have a vision for what it should be. They don't focus on people's strengths. So like with the Congolese, they wanted to work. That was their strength.
Well, and I think that leads, like, part of a lot of what you're saying, I think leads into the topic for today, which is like why storytelling can really be an effective tool in business, because there's maybe a prior narrative that was being told about them that they can't do things, that they can't be helpful, they couldn't have jobs, or those things couldn't be done. And you found a way to tell a different story and help them buy in and help the companies buy in to this different story that allowed for three-way win, right? Win for these refugees, a win for the company who now has people staffing it that they couldn't get staffed, and a win hopefully for your organization because you're helping to bridge that gap through telling the effective story and helping to reframe the story too. I think that's a little what it was, right? You had to change that narrative.
Yep. No, that's right. And the narrative that is just out there, sometimes it's kind of right, but sometimes it's not. I mean, I think of the Norbest one, I really learned so much from that because there was so much that I needed to do and I didn't realize it until it was upon me and I had to move quick. And a lot of it was story. A lot of it was, you guys need employees. You're having a hard time finding people. These people want to work. That was my story.
Yeah.
Their story was, you're changing our culture. You're bringing in these people that don't speak English or Spanish. They speak French and Congolese, right? And you're changing everything. And so I had to reframe that into, without them, we go out of business.
Yeah.
We're saving us, actually. These guys are part of the solution. And it was a hard sales job.
I'm sure.
It was. In fact, a lot of them left. They didn't feel welcomed. And we had to pivot. And we ended up having another opportunity to go recruit similar number of people from American Samoa. Flew over there. There was a tuna plant that got shut down, I'd gotten wind of, because the United States Congress had changed minimum wage to apply to our territories. So they were getting paid $4 an hour. Now all of a sudden they had to make $7.50 an hour. So Starkist just said, we can't afford to do that. Yeah. And the people in Samoa were a little bummed because they actually were okay. There, the standard of living was $4 an hour was actually probably higher than what the minimum wage is here. Everybody was kind of bummed. Talk about a three-way win. This was like a three-way loss.
Yeah.
So we flew over there. We kind of pitched them the idea that we'd do the same thing. We had these apartments. We'd fly them over. Culturally, it was a pretty good fit. Culturally, in the Utah Polynesian community is pretty strong, actually.
Very strong.
So it was actually pretty easy. Plus, they didn't have to get passports. They had status because it's an American territory, at least American Samoa. And so we recruited these people. They came. They actually, second time around was so much better. We had the pieces in place. We hired some of their people to be in leadership, so then their people felt like they had a place to go. That was one of the problems with the Congolese is they're like, I'm going to be on the line for chopping up turkeys forever. There's nowhere for me to go. Right. So we found a way to kind of show them a pathway forward. So we started to tell the story better. And it was story. The first story was we had to sell the idea of we're going to sit in a meeting with a boardroom full of people that are mostly farmers and say, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Let's go to Samoa. Yeah. And they're going.
And you're having to paint this picture. You're having to tell this story of what it can be, because it wasn't yet. But yes, you had to help them understand why that was going to be a solution.
And I didn't have anywhere else to point to say these guys did it and it worked.
Right.
That's an easy story. This was nobody's done this.
Yeah.
We're not desperate. We're kind of desperate. You know what I mean? You have to sell them the idea that we're confident this is going to work. It's a story that you have to tell, and you have to position it in a way that is believable, and you have to believe it. Yeah. And I did believe it, and especially from what I'd learned from the first time, this would work, and it did work much better. Still a good number of people down there from American Samoa, I believe, working, and that's been a decade or more. Yeah. So,
how do you think that people can effectively reframe a story or a narrative to solve problems better in business? Because that's obviously what you did really effectively, right? People told themselves a certain story that you had to help them see a different story.
Yeah, it's a great question. That's a really good question. I think the first thing you have to do is you do have to be willing to play it out in your head. You have to be able to play out, what does this look like if it works and if it doesn't work? Less on the doesn't work. Like, you don't need to spend a lot of time if it doesn't work. If you know something will work, what does it need to look like to work? Really play it out. I spent a lot of time thinking about what this would work. Some of it I didn't even think of. You mean, I'll tell you an interesting problem that you don't think of. Your average Polynesian is about twice the size of your average Congolese or Hispanic guy that we're working on the line. We had to rework the line. We had to make more space. So I didn't think about that, but it was a small enough problem that we could adjust. But some of that stuff. But what I did think is, okay, these people are in a situation in American Samoa that's not good for them. I can go pitch them a better vision, right? So I knew what that looked like. We had apartments. I knew what that looked like. The board, it's hard to find labor in the United States right now. Like, even right today with like the tariffs that Trump has put on, everybody thought that like American manufacturing would go up, and maybe it will. But I think this year, even with the tariffs, I think American manufacturing jobs have gone down, last I saw. There's a lot of Americans that don't want those jobs. Like, I'm not making a statement one way or the other, but it's a hard job to fill. And being in staffing and people, there's easy jobs to fill, and there's hard jobs to fill. Hard jobs to fill require a lot of problem solving. So this was one, and that's how I pitched it. Guys, let me show you what's out there. That was one of the ways we framed it. Our job pool's light. We can throw this Hail Mary, and I think we got a good shot. Or we can keep doing what we're doing, and it's not going well. So you have to pitch that to them. Boy, how do you reframe? I think you really just have to have a good vision of what you want. It's a vision.
I think it's the key, and hopefully being able to help those individuals see that they have got to be a little bit more open-minded, right? They've got to at least let you get a crack in, so that you can let them see what this vision could be, and you can sell the hope of what that's going to be.
And from my point of view, from my personal perspective, what I do, and what I've done in my career would be, I look for those opportunities to see where the crack already exists, so I don't have to create it. Right? They already had the crack. Like, they had a problem, and I knew the problem, and they'd come to me with the problem. Right?
So they wanted. They're inviting you in, but with skepticism.
With skepticism. So, but I saw the crack, and I said, "Oh, I can help open that a little bit. I can show them what that looks like." And then I do believe, and you have to believe that you can do it, right? And I think everything I've done, I've tried to find places where there's a crack. Now, it doesn't always work out. I would say of the businesses that I've had, they haven't all been successful. There have been failures.
Well, I think as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people trying to solve those problems, sometimes you have to have a little bit of delusion. Because you got to believe you can solve it, right? Because if you don't, you're never going to try. You're never going to try let me go to American Samoa and hire a bunch of people from a tuna plant, right? Like, so you have to have a little bit of that delusion so that those things can, take advantage of really unique opportunities that other people don't see.
And you almost, you would never call it delusion yourself. You have to believe it.
Oh, you have to.
Like, it's like I would just say, I'm going to be a little delusional on this. No, I'm in.
It's George Costanza, right?
Yeah.
Remember George Costanza said?
Right.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
That's exactly what it was. It's like, hey, man, I'm in.
And
I did believe it. And I've always believed the things that I said, and they don't always work. One of the great advantages of growing up and seeing entrepreneurs at work is it doesn't always work, and it's okay. You learn from it. If you learn from it, it's okay.
You do have to go in with that, that sense of this is going to work. I'm going to make this work.
That's right.
Because otherwise, if you have that doubt in your mind, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. What storyteller do you know that's, let's give this a shot? No, storytellers, they believe. Like the good story, they're positive, they're bright, they're energetic. They believe. Like, that's who you want, a good storyteller.
For sure. So let's flip this over to some of the stuff you would deal with in family law. In what ways are you helping people, especially right from the jump, an initial consultation, reframe their story and tell themselves a different story than what they're telling themselves now that they've reached this point, either by choice or by force?
I think that's a great question, specifically because it does hit on why I'm here. I'm here because I got divorced, and I went through the divorce process, and I had a divorce attorney. And I'm an attorney, but I'm not like you. Like, you're the attorney, right? Like, I wasn't a litigator. I didn't do all that stuff. Like, I did other stuff. But when I went through my divorce and I had my divorce attorney, I felt lost. I felt lonely. And I didn't, you kind of think your divorce attorney is kind of your friend because he knows all the details, right? Other people don't want to hear your story. Like, when you go through a divorce, you want to tell everybody your story. you wouldn't believe what she did. Yeah. Oh, and everybody's like, yeah. Nobody wants to hear it. But you want to tell it. Eventually, as those people kind of pull away and there's less, and someone will listen to you or whatever, you almost start to think your divorce attorney might be that guy because he has all the facts.
Yeah.
Well, that guy's billing you too.
Yeah.
And honestly, he's got 50 other cases, and you don't really know that as the client. You know that he's got your case. Mm-hmm. That's what I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had 30, 40 other cases. I was probably bothering him.
Sure.
But I needed to talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. So when I got through that process, and I would say 3 years after the divorce is when I think a lot of people start to recognize that you can build something positive and good out of the wreckage. Yeah. I think it's one of those events. I talked to somebody the other day that had cancer, that had overcome it. And we were talking about like those life-changing pivot moments. It's similar.
Yeah.
Like something that happens in your life that just changes everything. When we met and I came in to work here, one of the things that I loved was doing the initial consultation because I could immediately go back to that.
Yeah.
I remember that call. I don't know what to do. What do I do?
Yeah.
So I can go back there. And what I do is I try to use me a little bit, which is it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I've been through this. Yeah. And I don't tell everybody that I've been through it. It doesn't always matter. A lot of people aren't there to hear my story, right? But sometimes it's helpful.
Yeah.
And it's always helpful that I've been through it because I can put myself back there. And I can talk to those people and I can say, one, I got you. Because that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
That's it. It's simple. One of the things that we do here that is so effective is we do have a very specifically trained intake staff, right? Mm-hmm. And they're trained to listen.
Yeah.
And I know everybody says that. Some places will have an attorney do the initial consultation, and there's a time and a place for that. But what's your experience? What do they usually do in that consultation?
I mean, a lot of it is people want to tell their story, mm-hmm. right? And the way that they see their story, and to be able to have somebody else let them feel heard and seen because they're really struggling.
And what does the attorney typically do? When a typical law firm does that, and the attorney is the one doing that, what do you see that attorney do when that person's pouring their guts out and telling them all the things?
They're usually just very analytical about it.
Analytical, right. Regurgitating what they learned in law school.
Yep.
Because they did. They learned all I heard what you said. Oh, that means this,
here's
this, and this.
Here's this rule. Here's this statute. Yep. Here's this case.
What we're going to file a motion.
Yep.
And that person's going, what is that?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Like, what does that mean?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
And they're going, okay. So what they really need to hear is, one, we have experience in this. We understand what you're doing. Mm-hmm. There's a story that I'm helping them frame. And it's like all the other stories. They're real stories. Like, we got you.
Yeah.
We got your back. Let me hear what you're saying. Let me tell you some things. Yeah. People actually need to hear less on the front end than you would think about what the process is going to look like. They really need to understand that you have them. Whether they chose the divorce or the divorce showed up on their doorstep. Yeah. They need to feel heard, and they need to know, I got you. And I would say that's the story for me with the initial consultations. One of the things I love most about this job and what we do together is we get to talk to people and catch them on that moment of urgency. Yeah. And really help them know somebody's got you. Like, it's important. It's important to me. I know it's important to you. That's why we do this.
For me, when we're talking about the way that we try to craft the process that we have here, a lot of it is to help somebody see what their story can now be.
That's right.
Because it's really easy when you're first getting divorced to have this really bleak outlook mm-hmm. on things. Like, life's over. Everything that I've known, that I worked for, is not that way. Nobody gets married wanting to get divorced. And so it's this complete change. And it's really, a lot of times people lack a lot of hope, right? For what the rest of their life's going to look like. And yet, like, even though we're just attorneys, the reality is a lot of people see us as like a lot more than that. And I feel like we have a responsibility to help them have that hope for the future.
Right. And you have to paint it because you have seen it and we've seen it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to help them know what it looks like through the process.
Yeah.
We're going to tell them that story. And beyond that, mm-hmm. And I think that's the important part is it is also beyond that because that's where the hope comes from. And the number of people that I've talked to where we're talking about how do you prepare dinner for 4 kids as a single dad?
Tough.
It's tough.
How do
I do it?
Yeah. How do you do your daughter's hair?
Oh,
for her dance recital,
right?
Because it's your night,
because it's
and
your
now
night.
you got to take her.
That's right.
Yeah, I've
That's real
seen
stuff.
People struggle with that, and it's tough.
Yeah.
Because even when I've tried to help out, like my wife was out of town and I'm trying to do my daughter's hair.
That's right.
Like, I'm like, man, I don't know how to put this rubber
right.
band on the right way and keep a tight bun on here. Like, it's falling all apart.
And you're going through that while you're getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's
it's
tough.
a lot.
It's a lot. And so you can help them with some of that to see it and put other resources in place. But really just paint a picture like, hey, it's doable. Let me give you some tools. Let me show you what this is. And that helps a lot. I think it helps a lot. But, you know, I go back to mine. And I'm curious what your thought. You know, of the things that people would say to you when you were going through divorce, I can tell you, I'm curious what yours are. 2 things that people would say to me that I hated. 1, kids are resilient. They're going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'd say, oh, it'll get better. Every time that, my skin would crawl. I'm like, 1, you don't know.
Yeah.
Kids might be resilient. Maybe they're not. Maybe this is really hard, because that was my concern. Like, how am I going to make this good for the kids? And you telling me it's going to get better doesn't help me feel better right now.
No.
What did you hate to hear?
People always just want to know why.
Oh, yeah.
I'm relatively religious, and there's no secret that, like, especially for a long time, like in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, like getting divorced was like a big scarlet letter. You know, when you're doing it, when you've been very religious, people always were like, why would you get divorced? Like, what is going on? You know, and it's always assuming that either you did something really wrong or your ex-spouse did something really wrong.
Right.
And so that always was like, people kind of prying into that. I just didn't love that.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard, and that's what people are dealing with, right? Yeah, these are tough questions, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know that I had a lot of people pry. I almost felt like, you know, it was like, it's probably because you and I are different, and I think my approach was probably a little whinier than yours. And people are probably like, yeah, I don't want to hear this. Like, I think I was more like, no, you got to hear me out.
Yeah,
and I think so. That's probably maybe why.
With the idea of like somebody being able to reframe their story for what it looks like, how do you find that balance in acknowledging that they're going through something different? I mean, that's the idea of this yes and, right? Acknowledging that they're experiencing maybe the hardest thing they'll experience, and then also helping to bring them a little bit of hope for what they can do to build for the future, without it being that it's going to get better, your skin crawls.
That's right. It's a great question. I think that sometimes it is, you know, I had a conversation with one of our clients that was just finishing up, called in, had a couple questions, some billing stuff, some final stuff, and was really negative. He just had to write us a fairly large check, which is never fun, right? Of the things that people don't think about divorce is, what does it cost? You know, it's kind of it can be a shock to people. It's hard.
Almost always a shock.
It's a shock. Now, is it worth it? Well, we know that it is, because people without attorneys, we know what happens, right? But this particular individual who we've worked with, and he's had a hard time, and it was not a divorce of his choice. First thing he did was send me a picture of the check. He goes, "This is hard."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, man, it's hard." And then he called me, and we talked. And one of the things that he asked me, as some men will do, is like, how do you date? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I said, well, number one, you're going to do it wrong at first, and it's hard, and dating at this age is just not something that we're designed to do. I don't think it's quite difficult. But I said, but think about it this way, especially here in Utah, a lot of people got married real young.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're in this new spot in their life where they're a little bit older. And I go, think about it this way. Sky's the limit. You get to pick your partner. For a long time, you were married to somebody and it didn't work out. And you tried your best to work on it, because he did. He's a good guy. He tried his best, right? I'm sure he did plenty wrong. Not saying he was the good guy and she was the bad guy. Just that, you know, we're all humans. But I just remember saying, you get to pick. Like, picture this. You get to go on dates, and if somebody says something that you're like, oh, I don't think I can deal with that, you get to kindly say, it was nice to meet you, and move on. Yeah. Right? I think there was some solace in that for him, because he was asking specifically about that. It's just reframing it to, you're in the driver's seat, actually. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't feel that way, and it can be overwhelming and lonely. But yeah, just being able to say, look at what's the other side of this. And honestly, sometimes it's me just being upbeat and positive about it. Yeah. I think sometimes they just want to hear, not it's going to be okay, but like, hey man, you know what? You just got through the hard part. Yeah. The hard part's over. You know what I mean? There's going to be more hard parts. Yeah. But you're never going to have to write me that check again. Like, we're on. Yeah. You're on. You can go focus on your life. And I don't know what context for you were the most unappealing for somebody saying that to you. My guess or my hunch would be that, you know, when somebody's saying that, it's like they don't know what's going on. They don't know the details. No. They don't know what's happened. No. And so they're like, oh, it's going to all be okay. Well, but you don't know me. You don't know.
And I've got a lot that's happening here. And I think maybe one of the differences would be when somebody does know the details and they've actually listened and cared.
Right.
It's easier to hear their advice. And it's not just, hey, it's going to get better, but it's, hey, here's how it's going to get better. Right? For us,
it's an excellent point. I've been in the trenches with these guys.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
And likely they've heard a little bit of my story because I've talked to them to help to relate to them. But yeah, it's an excellent point. I've been in the trenches with them. Mm-hmm. So when I say, hey, it's gonna be like it is gonna be okay, but it's different. You're right. It's very different when somebody's in the trenches, because a lot of those people that said it was gonna be okay, they didn't want to listen to me.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Yeah, you're right. That's good.
And you know, I think a lot of times it comes back to like this idea of empathy.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody cares a lot and they have the ability to empathize and they're willing to hear and they're willing to sit with somebody and willing to talk to somebody, then it buys a greater ability to have that story conversation. Like, what do you want your story to be, and how do we help get you there?
Yeah.
Right. Even if it's a friend or somebody, like, oh, hey, I know you're going through something really hard.
Yeah.
It can get better. So what do? Let's take some steps to help this get better. You wanna have a guys' night, like help you feel better? You want to get our kids together and we can do, we can have like a little kid play date. Like, that's totally okay for dads to do.
It is.
I know, like, women are usually the ones that do it here in Utah anyways, but like dads can do it too.
Yeah.
But just having somebody who will maybe take some action with you too, right? Yeah. So like, we all have people we know that are going through divorce or that got divorced, and just saying something like it's going to get better doesn't do it.
No.
But like, empathize with them and offer solutions or offer to do things with them.
And one of the things I do say to them a lot is, this is an opportunity for you to rewrite your story.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
This is the time. Like, your ex may be saying this is who you are, and it's hurtful and it's hard, but this is your opportunity to write your story.
Yeah.
And that's really what this is about to me, is helping people rewrite the next chapter or reframe the old chapter, even to take the old stuff, because I surely didn't act the way that I wish that I had in the early days, but I can take that down and say, those were really important times for me to do the dumb things and to be the wrong person, because that's how I learned by the outcomes. Oh, maybe it's time to look inward a little bit.
That also highlights for me, like, one of the reasons why for most people we recommend that they go to therapy, because in doing some therapy, it doesn't mean you have to be in therapy for the rest of your life, but it helps to reframe the past, right? To help understand it better. It helps that, like, if your ex is trying to tell your story for you, what tools can you use so that they can't? And so you don't let it affect you as much. And then to, tell your new story about what you want to have going forward.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's move to the next segment where we're going to tie this into a movie.
Great.
And where we're going to tie it into is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
What we want to talk about, I think, with it today is looking at this idea of a story and what story means, how it shapes things, how it changes things. And we're going to talk about it in the context of a hot take of yours, which is the Beast versus Gaston.
Right.
And
the good guy versus the bad guy.
Yes. So tell me about the good guy versus the bad guy here.
So this is a good one. This is great to retell your story, to reframe a story.
Yeah.
And you can put yourself in the shoes. So there's a guy, and he lives in a small town, okay, a couple hundred years ago, requires a lot of self-sufficiency, requires the community to really work together. And one day, somebody comes in and they've got a magic mirror. And on that magic mirror, a crazy-looking, scary beast appears. And this guy holding the mirror says, this thing is in our woods, and in fact, it's kidnapped a couple of our citizens. And one guy stands up and says, I'll solve this. I'll rush in. You guys come with me. But the villain is mine.
Yeah. And when you hear the story told in that way, it sounds very different.
It does.
And yet those are
the facts.
The facts, as they say in the law.
Those are the facts. Those are the facts.
And those are the facts of Gaston, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting. I mean, like, Gaston is a very popular villain in Disney.
He is.
Amongst Disney fans. Very popular. We'll talk about that in a second. I want your hot take there with the park experiences. But Gaston, may be largely misunderstood. But like you said, even a couple more things that we've seen, like with Gaston, is so he's in this small town and everybody likes him, right?
He's quite popular. In fact, the ladies like him.
Yeah.
The ladies
all
like
the
him.
most beautiful women in the town.
Yeah. They like him. And they're not afraid to show it.
Yeah. They're throwing themselves
at him. But the man's in love, and he's not in love with them, and he's not in love with those women that are throwing themselves at him, even though they're beautiful, and probably would make a nice wife.
And who does he love? Does he love the ditzy blonde that
he
is beautiful but nothing else?
He's picked a woman that is a little different than a lot of the other people in town. She is maybe a little self-centered.
Sure.
Maybe thinks she's a little better than the rest of the people in her small provincial town. But she's smart, and she's interesting.
Yeah, smart, interesting, reads books,
and she's pretty, and he loves her.
Yeah,
at least he thinks he does. I mean, he probably doesn't know her very well, but in that time and place, he loves her. In fact, he's a romantic. He's planned a wedding. Now, he's hoping she says yes.
Yeah.
But he's planned a wedding. He's gone to all the trouble, going through town, getting the baker to make a cake, finding the music, getting his friends to help. And everybody's willing to help, by the way. And he's got the resources to pull it off. And he's rejected pretty humiliatingly.
Yeah.
Mud in his face.
Yeah.
Not deterred. Dusts himself off. She's still the one. Now, that's Gaston.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, that's how we're introduced to Gaston in the movie.
Sure. Is he perfect? No.
He's not perfect.
Right? Like he's
arrogant.
Presumptuous, he's pretty arrogant,
He's arrogant.
right? Like but you look at it, it's like he's well liked, maybe a little feared.
Brave.
He's brave. He wants to take on this beast.
Yeah.
Right? That's very scary
Yeah.
for these people in this provincial town.
Yeah.
His best friend is like the town fool, right?
He's a nerd.
And he's nice to him.
He is nice to him.
Like, yeah, does he have LeFou do stuff for him? Sure he does, but he also like brings him right along.
Yeah.
Like they're right there. They're
Right
pals,
there.
man.
Yeah.
They're together.
And he's building him up.
He does.
LeFou's building Gaston up, and by Gaston bringing him along, he's building him up.
Yeah.
But in the the great song, that Gaston's so great.
Yeah.
LeFou's right there.
Oh yeah.
Like this is not a guy he loves this guy.
Yep.
He's like, this guy's the best.
Yeah.
Nobody does it like Gaston.
Yeah.
Right. These people liked him.
Yeah.
And probably respected him, and maybe a little feared. And yes, he was a little arrogant and presumptuous, and he was probably shocked Belle didn't like him. I mean, all these other, wouldn't you be?
Sure.
If you had these triplets and all these other people just throwing themselves at you, and then this woman's like rejecting you, probably have not dealt with a lot of that. Okay, not perfect,
but maybe a little misunderstood.
maybe a little misunderstood. Okay, versus the villain, who is a guy that is so selfish. When we're introduced to him, he turns an old woman away to die, perhaps.
Yeah, to die because it's terrible weather outside.
Terrible weather.
All she needs is a place to have some shelter.
He turns her away.
Yeah.
To die, and then he's cursed, probably for good reason, right? Because he was a ruler. He was in a position of power.
He was.
And not a good ruler, and was cursed for it.
Yeah.
And when we're introduced to him again,
And then when he's cursed, all of the people in his castle are cursed too because of
That's
his
right.
actions.
And what does he do? Pout.
Nothing. Pout. Gets
Go-
mad.
Break stuff. I mean, we're talking domestic violence all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the first time he meets, Belle's dad, what happens?
Immediately
Throws him
Throws him
in
in
jail.
jail. Yep.
Kidnaps him.
Yep.
Throws him in jail. Probably doesn't feed him. It's what he does.
Yep.
And then Belle comes to rescue him. Pretty girl, brave girl to that extent, right? And what does he do to her?
immediately throws her in jail.
Throws her in jail. To the point where
like,
he's
I'll release your dad if you go in jail.
okay, I'll keep you, pretty girl, in jail.
Yep.
That's not creepy.
Nope.
Right? Lets him go, but you're going to stay. And then is like, come eat with me. She's like, no. And he throws a fit and throws stuff and breaks stuff. And then
He's like, and you're going to come to dinner in this dress.
or nothing at all.
Or nothing at all.
Yeah. What? All right, ladies.
Whoa.
Is that your guy?
Like, holy
That's
moly.
your guy? Right? Throwing tantrums left and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right? But somehow she sees quality in him.
Sure.
Takes time. Sure, she's like, I don't know, in an abusive relationship. And so she's, trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Which we see all the time in our world.
Sure.
Right? But she spends this time. He has a few things that are interesting to her. A giant castle with a library in it. That's an interesting
Sure.
thing that she tended to like, which maybe doesn't speak the most to her character as well. She's not perfect.
Sure.
We can talk about Gaston all day long, but, he has this beautiful library, and that's kind of how he wins her over, right? When he starts to try and put in a little effort, he's not planning weddings. He's putting on a coat and showing her a library that he already has, and he makes everybody else do all the work because he's a leader, right? But she puts time in with him. She puts effort in him. The snowball fight scene and all that stuff. She puts the time in.
Yeah.
And she does change him. In a lot of ways, they romanticize what women want, just to fix a guy.
Sure.
And they do. You know, he changes, truly. You know?
Well, I think that's what's interesting, too, is he does, but couldn't Gaston have had that opportunity with somebody that cared enough to...
You wonder if Belle had put the time and attention into him, what he would have been.
Because his biggest flaw was being arrogant, and then, you know, he did try to manipulate Belle with, like, I'm going to commit your dad if you don't marry me. So, obviously, a huge problem. I mean, no bigger than kidnapping the father and then kidnapping her.
Yeah.
Right? But then he's, you know, he does not have the opportunity because he is then thrown from the roof by the beast. And then dies.
He sought out the beast.
He did.
To kill the beast.
Yeah. To protect
and
the
by
people
the way,
of town.
If you look at the movie, Gaston did not have the information that she was in love with the beast.
No.
He was literally like, there's a beast.
Yeah.
I need to kill the beast.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the responsible thing to do.
Sure. And so I think, you know, what's really interesting about this conversation, when it came up when we were discussing it, I thought it was interesting because, you know, when we talk about telling a story and talk about reframing it, like, you really can look at some of these things and, like, you know, you understand where people are coming from in a different way. Gaston probably massively misunderstood the beast because of the story and the way that it unfolds in the movie, like, probably romanticized more than recognizing some of the major flaws that he has.
Yeah.
Because he had plenty of them, very worrisome, obviously. And now what we see, which I alluded to earlier, is what's your experience when you see Gaston in the Disney parks?
Oh. One, the ladies love him.
The ladies love him.
They line up, and he'll do push-ups for him, and he does all things. And he's pretty chivalrous.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's arrogant.
Sure.
They line up. They love Gaston. You know, and a lot of people do. They go to him because he's got that unique thing, and I don't know a lot of people put their finger on it, but, like, he's really not the bad guy. He's not perfect.
Sure.
The Beast is not perfect.
Yeah.
Belle is not perfect. Literally, that's a story full of people that are not perfect.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Sure.
Because when we go through this, we're dealing with, very, very rarely do we have clients that come in. That's the good guy, that's the bad guy. We have a lot of imperfect people.
Yeah, we do.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I'm divorced.
Yeah, we both
Was
are,
it my fault? Sure. Absolutely.
And was it her fault? Sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Bunch of imperfect people.
Yeah.
You know?
As we talk about that, one of the things that I think I really do like about the story, though, is the people that do stick by them. If you think about, like, the people that were in the castle, right? Mrs. Potts and Lumiere and Cogsworth and like they're standing by their master. Now, do they need him to get better so they can go back to humans?
They kind of didn't have a choice.
They do, but like they do stick by him.
They do, and they fight for him.
And they fight for him
and themselves, really, and for each other.
And when the townspeople are coming to try to attack them, right? Their response is, let us protect the castle. Let us protect the beast. Even though he's kind of treated us pretty poorly and hasn't really done a lot to get us released from this horrible curse, but we're still going to do that. We're still going to, like, stand by him. And I mean, there's a lot of, like, really redeeming qualities in some of those folks.
There is, but at the same time, I mean, just reframe. Just compare the pub scene where they sing for Gaston.
Yeah.
Right? What motivated those people to do that?
Well, they loved him, obviously.
Apparently they did.
Yeah.
Apparently they did. Maybe feared and respected as well, but like they certainly loved him enough to, I mean, they didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Versus the Candlestick and Mrs. Potts and all those people, they were very incentivized to get Belle to fall in love with the beast. That's how the curse would be broken.
Yeah.
They were very incentivized, selfishly, like we all are, to make that work.
Yeah.
Those people in the bar were not nearly, maybe a little bit, but not nearly as much.
Yeah.
It's a very similar story, right, of people behind these people. And when Gaston said, I'm going to kill the beast and we're going to go, who followed him? The townspeople.
The townspeople absolutely did.
Which is scarier? Walking into the middle of a forest to an enchanted castle to fight inanimate objects, or staying in your castle, you're already cursed, and fighting to save that rose petal from falling off. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, those people followed Gaston for a reason.
Sure. Well, that's what's interesting, too, about anytime you see conflict happening, right? Like, at the end of the day, the townspeople are positioned against the people that are in the castle and they're their enemies. But in reality, like, townspeople are trying to do the right thing.
That's right.
Trying to protect their town, right?
Yeah. Two citizens have been kidnapped recently.
Recently. Very recently.
Yeah.
No reason to believe that would stop.
No reason.
And so, yeah, it's an interesting reframe in that story. So there's a hot take for you. Maybe not everybody agrees with our hot take, but I do think, like, story is powerful because the way that the story is told and the way that Disney tells that story oh, of course the Beast is the hero. Of course Gaston is the villain. But you take a look a little bit deeper and beyond the really expert storytelling they do in the movie, and you actually look at things that happened, and maybe it tells a little bit different of a tale.
Certainly
tale
has
as
room
old as
for it.
time.
Tale as old as time.
All right, so let's run to a quick what we're going to call this or that segment. Okay. So I'm going to tell you this or that, and you tell me which one you prefer, and then you're going to have to defend yourself, even if it's a terrible choice.
I can do that.
So this or that, Belle or Mulan. And of course, you have to choose one. You can't say
it's Mulan.
Okay, good.
Because, like I've already said, Belle's terrible. Like, she literally is, like, Belle and the Beast, they did get divorced. Like, he didn't put up with her for very long. Like, that did not last for that long.
They
did
didn't stay together. They were not happily ever after.
I mean, France, a couple hundred years ago, maybe they couldn't because it was Catholic.
Yeah, they probably couldn't.
But it was probably post-revolution. So, yeah, I think they got divorced. Mulan, for sure. You know, she is there's something about her that's to be really admired. She was driven, loved her family, loved her community,
loved her country.
Loved her country. There's a lot about Mulan to like.
Yeah, and there's a lot about Mulan the movie to like too, because she's the hero of the story, but I guess the guy who's kind of also the hero, like, he's able to be strong, have a strong character, like, they can still both have like that strength.
One doesn't take away from the other.
That's exactly
for
right.
sure. It's a good relationship.
Yeah.
It really is a good relationship.
Yeah.
They're both allowed to be themselves.
Yeah.
And they've both kind of built up their own strength.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from the other one. Like, there's nobody said, oh, well, there's, a strong, handsome young man in that movie, so we don't like it. Like, no, it's good. There's a strong woman and a strong man, and it was good.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, next one. Marvel or DC?
Well, it depends.
Oh, no, it's just, that's it?
Well,
Marvel or DC?
Comic books or movies?
You got to group them all in together.
Comic books.
Which one are you going to take?
Comic books, DC.
Okay.
Movies, Marvel. With the exception of some of the new DC stuff's great.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. Basketball or football?
See, I want to do the lawyer. It depends. Like, are we talking playing or are we talking watching? Because I would say football. Like, there's nothing better than watching football, sitting down, going to the game, watching the game. But, at our age, we're not playing.
That's the problem.
I'll play basketball.
Right, like, I mean, you're a basketball player. You played collegiately.
Yeah.
For me, it's actually the same. I've always loved playing basketball, but I will take watching football.
It's just the best. There's nothing better than a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah.
Football.
Versus football all day.
It's the best.
My kids hate it because I watch a lot of it, but it's fun.
It's just the best.
Okay, Iron Man or Captain America?
Captain America.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the comic books or that's the movies?
It's either. Doesn't matter. Like, in that sense, it really doesn't matter. Captain America his superpower is bravery.
It is. Like, he's strong, but really
he was
brave.
Everything that made him good as Captain America, he was before. That's what I loved about it.
Yep.
Whereas the nice thing about Iron Man is he's a story of progression and reframing his story, and he's something else.
He had quite an arc, right?
He does
of where
have an
he had
arc.
to go.
Yeah.
But Captain America was that. I mean, I remember the first one, right, where before he's injected with the serum to be strong. The reason that they do that is because they basically ran a test with him, right? You remember which one I'm talking about with the grenade?
Yeah. So I said
They throw the grenade out. What does he do? He freaking dives on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Like, that's who Captain America is. That's who Steve Rogers is.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's Captain America all day.
Beach day or mountain day?
Beach day. Pretty quick. Yeah, beach day.
Really?
The beach is great.
So I thought maybe you're a mountain guy because you're small town Utah.
100%. Love the mountains. We'll do the mountains way more, but of the vacations you can go on.
Yeah. There's something great about a beach.
Oh, there's a vacation with your kids on the beach for multiple days, doing almost nothing. Body surfing, you name it. It's beach.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a blast.
It fills you up much longer.
Sure.
You can live off a week at the beach for a year.
Yeah. Okay, here's our rapid fire. Ask you the question, you just give me the answer. You ready? Okay, first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Don't think too much. Don't overthink it,
Here we
okay?
go. Let's do this.
Favorite Disney movie?
Favorite Disney movie? Oh, see, I can't think too much. I'm already thinking too much. Favorite Disney movie? I like Aladdin.
Okay,
I
good.
do. Yeah,
I thought for sure you were going to go live action because you're going to like try to do something different.
I do.
Because people hear Disney movie and usually it's like, oh, it's the animated. But they had lots of others.
They do. I mean, Aladdin to me, there's
great.
so much about it. It is great, but it's also like I was about 12 or 13.
Yeah.
The first girl that I had a crush on, I recorded off the radio, little tape recorder, Whole New World.
Yeah.
Gave it to her.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like and that was hard to do because you're like,
can't
make eye contact. It's like
sure.
that. So there's a special.
See, I thought you were
thing.
going to go with the fact that you like Jasmine.
I do. I
'Cause
like
who did it? She was exotic.
She was great.
like,
but it came out of that
Jasmine.
time when I'm like, you're playing night games in your little town, and so there's something about Aladdin that always has stuck with me.
That's always a great one. Okay, favorite Disney song.
Favorite Disney song? Oh, Gaston, the pub song. For Gaston.
Gaston,
100%.
which is actually just called Gaston.
Yes, that's
such
the
a
best
fun
one.
song.
I will make my kids listen to that sometimes.
It's a good
It's
one.
wonderful.
Okay, and this is a variation for that, but different. Best Disney song.
Best Disney song.
So Gaston's your favorite, and that's so subjectively your favorite. So being as objective as possible, what is the best Disney song?
The Lion King Elton John song.
Which one? Circle of Life, Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Can You Feel Love Tonight?
Okay.
It's Can You Feel Love Tonight?
It's great. It's a great song.
I think that's got to be the best.
It's a great song. I mean, A Whole New World's pretty high.
Whole New World is great. I mean, that with Peebo Bryson.
That hit number one on the charts.
I mean, I gave it to a girl, man.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. Favorite comic book character?
Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah, Daredevil. Lawyer, religious, conflicted.
I like it. And the last one, favorite villain.
Oh, favorite villain. Probably Scar.
He's a good one.
I like his deviousness.
He's very devious.
I like it.
Be Prepared is a good song.
It is, and he had a plan.
Oh, he absolutely had a plan.
I like that.
It was actually a pretty good plan too.
It was. I like a man with a plan.
So kind of closing reflection. I always like to end things with like some actionable takeaways. So we've talked about reframing. We talked about telling a story. We've talked about what that can look like and trying to understand things. What is the actionable takeaway that you would leave people with on something that they can do today or this week to tell better stories or to tell their story differently or to reframe their story? What advice would you give?
Honestly, take the time to think about the story that you want. I had advice given to me one time. I think it was by my mom when I was a kid. And I was really caught up in being like a good kid. And I didn't know. I was like, I just want to be like a good kid. And she said some version of, find someone that you really admire and the traits that they have and copy them until they're yours.
Okay.
It's an interesting thing to tell a 14-year-old kid.
Sure.
But it was useful to me. And I would say it's very similar to that, which is you are in charge of your story. One of the things about being human that's so different, right? I do love to go in the mountains. When you see a deer is a deer. A human can change.
Yeah.
We can wake up one day. I just listened to a podcast with Jelly Roll. You know how much weight that guy's lost? 300 pounds.
No kidding.
Yeah. That's a guy that was also a drug addict, went to prison, and is hugely famous, very talented, a sweet guy. Yeah. And he said, I lied to myself. I was jamming food in my face, and I was telling people I was doing okay. Yeah. He says, I got tired of lying to myself. He told a new story, and he was consistent with it. So once you build a story in your head, figure out what you need to do to get there. Maybe look at people that have done it. That's another trick. Is figure out what your story could be. Talk to people. We live in an information age. Yeah. There's podcasts. There's everything. If there's somebody that has made changes that you want to make or is like you want to make, go look. How did they do it? Yeah. And then really build a plan and be that person. And it doesn't happen overnight. No. Be patient with yourself. Yeah. You aren't going to change overnight. But you can tell the story overnight. Yeah. Your story can change right now.
It's part of why some of my favorite books to read are biographies and autobiographies, because you're learning about people who are not perfect. And so I like the ones the best that when they acknowledge the faults and the flaws.
And that's key.
But then, what did those people do to overcome those things?
That's right.
The challenges, the trials, the flaws. And it can be really helpful because by seeing that, you do. I mean, there's a lot of people who are Christian, religious, right? And what do we know about Christianity? Well, see Jesus as being this person has all these characteristics and qualities, and what do? We're supposed to model ourselves after him. Yeah. Well, that works for other regular people too, right? Does. Like there's lots of people that are doing things like today that we can look at and say, hey, that's really great. I could do something more like that. So I think that's great advice.
Yeah, things that work.
Yeah.
So when you see people that do things that work, if you do those things, they'll likely work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for being on today and get a chance to chat a little bit. Your hot take with the Gaston versus the Beast and storytelling. So Thank you for joining us in Yes and Land, where we honor the real story that you're living, the things that you're experiencing, and then we move into, hopefully finding things for the next chapter of your life where you're finding hope and joy and possibilities. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.